So, this week's topic is going to be an exploration of hypergamy and basically just my thoughts. The entire podcast will really just be my thoughts on feminist related topics. And, you know, it's funny when I read old articles that I wrote, I think, oh my God, I was wrong about this, I was wrong about that. But essentially, it's the same idea that comes back, and it's the same thing that I've thought probably for my whole life. And I just want to be able to explain my thoughts and, create a map of how I think to see if I could probably meet other people who think similarly or who could fill in the gaps or whatever. So I'm going to talk about hypergamy and why hypergamy is one of the probably for me it's probably the first thing that stuck out to me about feminism and feminist theory when I heard about the idea of feminism and the idea of equality between men and women. I think hypergamy is the thing that struck me as the problem and why I think feminism or equality between men and women does not work. I want to put out the caveat and stuff that a lot of the times on the internet we hear about these things and we hear the words men and woman and we think we're talking about men, we're talking about women. And this is really unfair because it's not like men or all women or the majority of women or the majority of men. Nature is way more complex than that. There's a lot of diversity. There's diversity under men. There's diversity under women. We know that. We know that diversity is an important part of nature, and it's what helps us to evolve and to change and what keeps us going. So it's not. I'm not trying to categorize women in one way or categorize men in one way or whatever. But I am trying to explore things from an honest position. What my thoughts are and how I came to those thoughts, and and a lot of it, of course, what I think is extremely biased because it's based on my it's based on my experience. I'm not going off of of course I look up things, try and find if other people did studies. I haven't done any studies. I am basing my opinion based on my lived experiences. So okay, let's get into it. What are my thoughts on hypergamy? So, is there a norm in terms of women, and are most women hypergamous or something like that? I'm not going to say yes, absolutely not. I don't think that that's how it works in nature. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, but it's still really an important thing to explore. So, I can say that personally, for me, hypergamy is real. I am more attracted to men who have higher social statuses or whatever, or who are richer or whatever. And I'm not talking about specific men. It's not like, oh my God, I see Bill Gates or whatever, he's super rich and I'm really attracted to him. No, I'm just saying that the trait of a man having a higher social status, if you meet a man or whatever, and he has a higher social status, or he has more money, or he seems to have more power, or whatever, or he's more competent than other men or than me. All of this is very attractive. Probably in the same way, a woman with a really nice body and big boobs is more attractive to a man. A man who is more competent, intelligent, who has more wealth or some sort of power, or is achieving something useful and so on in society and is respected. All of this makes a man more attractive, and therefore I classify myself as hypergamous. And I think that this exists on a very deep level in terms of, I think for me at least, this is something that comes from my instincts, and this is something very sexual in that this is like what is arousing, okay? And I tried to make a video before where I tried to explain this, and I can't explain it very well, but I want to explain it. That's the thing. I really want, because I feel like it's a very important point that gets missed from the all of the discussions on hypergamy and stuff like that. Is that, okay, how did I discover that I was hypergamous? I went along my life. I met men. I met men who I was not attracted to, and then who I was, or whatever. I ended up meeting my husband. I was super attracted to him. We ended up together, so on and so on and so on. And I had no idea that I was hypergamous. If you had asked me during that phase of my life, or whether or not I was a gold digger, or whether or not I was hypergamous, or whatever, I would have said no. I would have said, absolutely not. I'm not hypergamous. I don't care about money and whatever, whatever. I'm just looking for someone to spend my life with, right? So I would not have known that I was hypergamous. This is not something that I would have been conscious at a normal level, right? How I found out that I was hypergamous was because I was looking at a video on YouTube by a MGTOW YouTuber called Alex on Life, who made videos in the past, and he said in it, he made a video about what women want, and he was, quite upset in the video, I guess, or whatever. He was moaning about how all women are gold diggers, we're bad people, and stuff like that. And then he said, at some point in the video, he said, if you don't, and I when I first heard the video, the first part of it where he explained that we were gold diggers, I was like, oh, this is so stupid. MGTOW, they're so stupid. They did just as bad as feminists. They just label all women. They don't like women, and this is all nonsense. And then he said at some point in the video, he said something like, if you don't believe me, just ask. Just ask any woman, because he claimed in the video that he slept with a lot of women, that he has a lot of experience, and that he slept with many women, and every woman he sleeps with. Now, I think he was super biased in that he probably was in some sort of subculture of people who I this is another topic that we have to explore under the same theme. I think I'm not sure, but I think he was in some sort of subculture of women who probably dealt with BDSM. And BDSM is very important to this conversation, so we'll get back to that. But so he was biased in that the women he were meeting, these women were of a certain type, right? But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, he said, if you don't believe me, just ask any woman. Ask any woman what gets her off. What exactly gets her? What does she come to? What is it that is sexually arousing, right? And I had to think, and like as he said that, I stopped. I paused the video and I thought, and I was like, shit, I am hypergamous. Like I am hypergamous. If I really sit and think about it, and I think about what gets me off, what is the thing that I'm talking about in sex, in a sexual way, in terms of arousal, it's hypergamy. That's what it is. It is the idea that the guy who you are with is more competent, is competent, and has some sort of power or something like this, right? So I believe that there are women who have the same type of sexuality as me, and for a while I called this Cinderella sexuality. Okay, so it's like Cinderella sexuality to me is the best way to describe this. It's just, it is that in a sexual sense you want, in a sense, to be a victim, uh, and for the man to be the one who has the power to save you, and that he will save you. And I think this can go into so many topics, because this is why we are like attracted to bad boys. Somehow in the past, I don't know how it is now on the internet. It is probably, but in the past, I remember that it used to be like they used to say stuff like last. No, hold on. They used to say things like "nice guys finish last," and the girls are only attracted to bad boys. And I've even seen posters nowadays where people say, oh, girls are attracted to serial killers and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, actually, it's true. On a sexual level, there are a lot of women who are attracted to, yeah, serial killers, bad guys. Nice guys finish last. And that's because these guys are displaying certain features. They're displaying the ability to protect the woman. They're displaying this hardness, which is like a part of masculinity that's super important. And it's not all of what women don't want. Like, the thing is, the whole thing with the bad guy is because she's attracted to his his confidence, his competence, his ability to command respect, his the fact that he can have some type of social status, because this makes her feel safe and as if he could protect her. And this feeling of safety is really an important aspect of like what makes a woman feel sexual. And I need to get deeper into this. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm definitely going to release this video. And I would really like the feedback of anybody who would actually listen to this entire podcast, because I'm gonna get into some things here that I mean I feel a bit embarrassed talking about it, but I want to talk about it and I want to know what your genuine opinion is on it. So please, let me know. You know, right, make a comment and tell me. So okay, so I have what I call Cinderella sexuality. Okay, and I want to get into like how I know that my sexuality is what it is and that it's real, right? Um, I, in particular, had a very conservative upbringing. Okay, I grew up very sheltered. My parents were not super religious, but we went to religious schools. I went to an all girls school. Um, I did not have much exposure. I also grew up in a time without this internet access, how we have it today. So I wasn't online or anything like that. And my parents never, and the schools that I went to and stuff, they never told us anything about sex. So I had to discover sex all on my own. And to be honest, I had no idea what sex was until the point when I was supposed to have sex. I didn't know what was, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know anything, right? So what I want to say is that, okay, when I was young, um, how we had a big room that was for all the kids where we would sleep. We had beds side by side, stacked together, and we all slept there. It's a really long story. I would love to get into it one day, but anyway, the point is not that. The point is at some point, at a certain age, every child, when they would reach a certain age, they would leave the room and go off to their own room. Yes, we lived in a very big house, right? So what happened to me? I was, in the room, whatever, with my other siblings, cousins who slept in this house, um, and like so, I used to sleep with a pillow between my legs, and at some point, you move the pillow and then you feel some sensation, blah blah blah. One thing led to another. You realize, oh, this feels nice. What I thought in my head, this feels nice. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's something private that I have to do alone. Then I, you move the pillow a bit more, and da, da, da. Then I decided I will move to my own room. I moved to my own room and was able to explore, masturbation and stuff like this on my own. As a young child who didn't have any concept of sex or anything like that, I had to explore masturbation without any context. So I didn't know like what I was doing. I didn't know that this had anything to do with sex, men. I didn't know it had anything to do with men. I didn't know it had anything to do with reproduction. I didn't know any of this. I really went to a very conservative school, to the point where the final exams, which would be like in America, SAT and stuff like this, when we had to sit our exams, because my school was a Catholic school, an all girls Catholic school, they told us like there's a part of this exam that has to do with the human body, like where they teach you how the human body looks, but they didn't want us to know the parts of the male human body or anything like that. So what we were instructed to do, like we had an entire biology course, we learned everything about plants and other animals and stuff like this. They taught us all these other stuff, but when it came to the part about the human body, the male human body, like because we should have known that like he has a penis and stuff like that and stuff. I guess they told us if you see a question like this, and they held up a paper with a kind of rough shape of a male body. If you see any questions on male body parts or whatever, you are to turn the page quickly. And we're supposed to fail that question. They had no problem with us failing the question. And this was a really good school. because they just omitted the parts of biology that they didn't want us to know, because they didn't want us to know anything about that. So anyway, I so what so I'm talking about my masturbation journey during this time, and I consider this to be a very unfiltered, uninfluenced experience. So to me, this is like science. I feel like if I experienced something that is very scientific in this sense, because I didn't have any context, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that, I first of all the pillow, and then eventually I used my finger to feel on the outside or whatever how it goes. But I didn't know I could go inside at that age. So anyway, and what did I masturbate to is the question. So I masturbated to um, thoughts, certain thoughts, right? And as an adult now, if I have to masturbate, I masturbate to stories, right? But as a young person, it's stories, but not deep stories or anything. So I will explain. So okay, one of the first very popular ones that I masturbated to would be, I'm in a crowd and a lot of people are, and then there's a stampede, so people, and I fall down, so I'm on the floor and people are stepping all over me, and of course I'm scared or whatever. Then there is then there's another one where I'm in a car, someone else is driving, they're driving extremely fast, and I'm scared that we're going to crash, and I would go through the front glass or whatever. So I'm either in the passenger or in the back seat. I was often in the back seat actually, and somebody else is driving. I don't know who's driving. That is not even important. It's just that I'm in a car that's racing, and there's potential for an accident. Then I started to learn, like in history class, about slavery and what happened. And I would masturbate about being a slave. There was one particular one where it would be that I'm a slave on a plantation, and I broke a teacup and a saucer, and I would go outside somewhere on the plantation and dig a hole to try and cover the teacup and the saucer to try and bury it. And I would be scared that someone would see me because I broke the teacup, because I would get in trouble. Then after, I know this is a very significant one that I masturbated quite a lot to. On History Channel, there was no, it wasn't History Channel. It was an HBO thing. On HBO, when I was young, there was a documentary about the Ku Klux Klan. About well, people who look at this know I'm a black female, but I'm from the Caribbean. But still, there was a documentary about the Ku Klux Klan in America and what they did to black people. And I remember I saw this documentary and it was scary and stuff. And I would masturbate to the idea that this one is probably the most vivid, the one close to real masturbation, in that I would be in my bed masturbating, and I would imagine that the Ku Klux Klan is going to break into my house, and then they do break into my house, and then they're coming closer, and they're going to find me. And of course, then they would take me outside and lynch me or whatever. So I'm scared. So my sexuality, in order for me to get off, I have to experience this idea of fear, this idea of that is somehow linked to being very afraid, and also that is linked to being hurt, to being physically hurt. So there's something with pain and fear, and uh, and also, and I think that the balance to that is the mask is a male, of course, who sort of he is able to protect me from whatever that is. And I think that is a very important part of female sexuality and how we get off. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but in order for women to get off, I'm using the word woman, but it's not. It's there. It's you know the thing is, because of diversity, it's something like, it doesn't have to be even the majority, but it's a big enough block of women who experience this, who have a similar sexuality. I mean, and we therefore make up a majority because the rest is so diverse. That's how I see it. And so we we are sexual, and this is how, I want to tie BDSM into all of it and stuff like this, because a BDSM is an expression of this. So in a sense, I am attracted to BDSM, submissive version of it. But I mean, I'm not attracted to like what is it, leather and whips and all these weird toys and stuff like this that they have. This, so I wouldn't classify myself as BDSM or whatever. But this is, I believe, a fundamental part of human sexuality that uh, um I think women experience in a more vivid way than men. I think men also have the same sexuality, to be honest, but because men's sexuality is more based on like visual stuff, it's sort of, I think that overrides the visual stuff, overrides the story. Whereas for women, we actually rely on a story to get off. We like erotica, and with this topic, you can get into like erotica stories, how they are written, and like this sort of soft porn stories for women. There's a lot of it, like drama box stories and stuff. Anyway, I don't want to make these podcasts too long. I hope that someone will listen to this and give me feedback. But I I want to talk about, yeah. So I believe that some women are hypergamous, and I think that that's okay. And I want to know, what are your thoughts? And I want to make a part 2 and 3 and 4 and to continue, but I need your feedback. So yeah, comment and let me know.